All right. Well, for everyone that's here, whether you're in the meeting or if you're on the live stream portion of it, my name is Chris Enyeart. I'm the Director of Athletics here at Lake Central. I'm working on two different computers, one to admit people as they request in, and then the other one because I can only see the slides on the one screen that I'm presenting from. I can't see any other features. So we're going to try this out. We're the first ones to try this in the corporation. So as far as hosting a meeting, that's going to generate a lot of people. So bear with us if we have any problems, but we should be good to go. We have interviewed for coaching positions through Google Meet, so we're very comfortable with it, as well as a lot of our other meetings. So thanks for joining us again. One thing I would say that a lot of our teams and the athletic department use Twitter to disseminate information. So if you don't, parents, if you don't have a Twitter account, get one. Our athletic handle is @LCIndians. And in the team pages, the coaches will let you know. As I said, Mr. Sandor, my Associate Director of Athletics, is on the call too. He'll be chiming in if there's anything to add or to develop, or if there's anything that he thinks we're missing. So there's two secretaries in the office that you'll get to know. One is Mrs. Kathy Kaplinski.
Hey, Mrs. Graves.
And then, so Mrs. Kaplinski, she is retiring at the end of June. She's been with the corporation for 27 years. So you'll see her in June, hopefully. And then the other secretary is Mrs. Graves. She's in charge of all the facility rentals. So if you've ever rented a facility here, you've worked with her, as well as, and she works in the athletics department. You'll see her when you enter into the office, when we're able to do so. This is a list of coaches that can be found on the athletic webpage under Contact Us. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. All their emails, like I said, are on there. We will upload this slideshow to our webpage, so if the Contact Us page, as well as on the main page. So Athletic Booster Club, they have the president is Mrs. Jen Chad. She's also the president for the Gridiron Club for the football team. They hold meetings on the second Monday of each month at LCHS. It's at 7 o'clock at room H205. And where that is located is in the main gym right next to our hospitality room. It's on the second floor by a running track. So if you want to be a part of that, it's a great group. They're vital to the funding of our programs. Our athletics is funded by three major things: gate receipts and ticket sales, the indoor concession stand and soccer concession stand, now we have one, and in donations. We have the large advertising at football. We have a program book that we put together, and then the booster contributions. Their primary one is the Support the Tribe event. It was supposed to occur Friday. They're doing it online this year through BitOwl. You probably saw the email that I sent last week with all that information. They usually raise out of that event annually about $30,000 that goes to the athletic department, and that pays for team uniforms. So all teams are on a rotation, a 4-year rotation. And like if a team or an individual makes it to state as a state champion or state runner-up, they pay for the state rings as well. And if there's any money left over, it can go to some equipment needs if we need it. But it's a very vital group to us. They're the primary funding outside of gate receipts and ticket sales. So realities of high school sports. Participation in athletic and extracurricular programs is a privilege. Academics are a priority. If you do not keep up with your academics, your eligibility and standing on a team can be taken away. The following are some points to be mindful when you join a team. With vacations, and you should not be playing during the playing season. If you're a spring sport, don't expect to be able to use spring break for a family vacation. If you make the team, all teams are in session there, and we'll be having practices, and some of our programs are actually have events during spring break time. Basketball or a winter sport, they practice and have games over Thanksgiving break, and as well as Christmas break. A lot of the tournaments are done there as well. So try to keep your tournaments to the outside of the playing season. There are never guarantees for playing time. So they do their best to do that, but as you go from a freshman to the JV level or varsity level, it gets hard. Student athletes are expected to be at all practices on time. If you're missing for you're sick or you're not well, communicate with the coach. We provide student athletes with a cohesive year-round opportunity to train and condition. So we have off-season workouts throughout the year. They have, if you're a spring sport, you're permitted to have in the fall through the winter 2 days of practice for 2 hours. And that's with a ball or a toy, whether it's a basketball, whether it's wrestling in the wrestling room. Now, conditioning is separate from those outside of those time frames. You can condition year round. You can condition 6 days a week except for Sundays. Sundays are never a day. None of our programs go more than 3 days a week in the off season. Outside of the summertime, especially for fall sports in the summer, but most programs will stick to that 3 days a week. As their season gets closer, they may add a fourth day or another day of conditioning, but most will stick with 3 days. All of our programs require fundraising efforts to operate, so they'll fundraise for equipment. They try some programs will cover gear costs like your shoes or your practice gear or your warm-ups. Other teams that don't do as much fundraising, that'll be at the cost of the family. It's a huge commitment of time, and it gets greater as you move, as I said, from the freshman level to the JV to the varsity. Facilities during the school year due to the number of programs. There's 23 official sports here at Lake Central. Some programs will go in the morning before school, so they'll go as early as 5 a.m. And some will go in the evenings and may not end until 9 p.m. So there's that to consider. Studies and homework are expected to be completed for classes, even if a weeknight. No teacher is going to accept an excuse of, well, I had a game last night, so I just couldn't get it done. Academics is first, and we'll get more into what the requirements for academics are of what you have to maintain here at Lake Central. But you have to balance that. Season conditioning, as I said, our coaching staff is expected to conduct opportunities for training and conditioning while out of season. These also extend into the summer months. You're encouraged to become a multi-sport athlete at Lake Central. If you participate in more than one of our programs, studies have always shown that the more sports you're in, the more well-rounded the athlete is, and it helps to contribute to the success of Lake Central. If you're not involved with the seasonal high school sport, and you are only in one sport, you are encouraged to participate with the off-season conditioning of your program. There could be team meetings. camps, strength training in our weight room, core conditioning, and competition strategies. So those are some of the programs. Some of you have kids that have been a part of Lake Central programs, so you know what to expect. Some of this is your first time, and you'll learn as we go. Moratorium week. This is a time in the summer where there are no practices, contests. There's no contact between athletes and coaches. Our campuses are fully closed. That is always the week that includes July 4th, a good time to take a vacation. But if you're in the summer and you have a vacation plan, just communicate with the coach. They'll all be understanding. They'll work with you. Some of them will provide workouts that you might be able to do, whether it's just running or doing some type of conditioning while you're on your trip. But we understand that's a part of life as well. Code of conduct. This is a lengthy document that can be found on our athletic department webpage. When you do family ID and log in there, a copy of it's posted in there. It's a 4-year commitment. And once you sign, it applies throughout your entire athletic extracurricular career. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So let's say you decide to do something that gets you in trouble. You get caught smoking in the bathroom. And just because you're not in season does not wipe that off your record. When your season comes, there will be consequences that are outlined in there, and I don't want to go through them all because we'd be here a while. But when you hit your season, your coach would be aware, and they would, whatever punishment is needed will be done during that contest season. A lot of our sports are cut sports. You'll try out. They only can keep so many. Doesn't mean you're not a great athlete or a great worker, but there's only so many positions to be had. If you get caught, for break the conduct, that's part of their evaluation process, as well as academics and the whole package. Like I said, violation of these can result in lots of different things depending on the variation and what it is. You could have hours of community service. You could be put on probation. You could receive a suspension from practices and games. Or career expulsion from athletics and other extracurricular events here at Lake Central. Participation forms. Required participation forms. The first one is register on family ID. If you've played a middle school sport, you already have accounts. You don't have to create a new one. You just have to go to this link and open it. We do not have this up and running for the 2021 school year. So you cannot do this right now. And part of the main reason I usually have it open April 1, because that's when we can start accepting new students. But with COVID-19 and the uncertainty of when we're returning, we haven't opened up the link just to keep that up. And that's because of the IHSA physical packet. No doctors or offices are open and accepting patients to do an athletic physical right now. So it is a completely new physical. So if you had a copy of last year's, it is not the 2021's packet. That would not be an acceptable one. It has to be on the form that is approved by the IHSA every year. This form has went through a lot of changes for this year. It will be uploaded to the athletic website as well as Family ID. You'll be able to get a copy to take to the doctor's office with you. There's a portion that first page would be you have to complete it. The second page is the doctor's portion. Third page is an informational page. And the fourth page requires a student signature, insurance information, and if there's both parents or guardians at home, both parents must sign it, and you turn that into the athletic office. Where we're at now is school being closed. The first time, the earliest that we'll be able to do this is in June. Once we have an idea of when the social distancing and physical distancing parameters have been lifted by the state, or doctors' offices are able to start taking patients to complete a physical form, and our office is able to be open, is when we'll make this live. And I'll send out a message through the school messenger to all 8th graders about that. This is all part of Family ID. So there's no paper copies anymore, other than the physical packet. That's the only thing in paper you'll have to bring to us. We'll scan it into the system, and then we'll give you your copy back. So that way you don't have to contact us if you need a copy for Boy Scouts or anything like that. Emergency contact form for the athletic trainer and coaches. Again, we print all of this off of Family ID. If you are interested in being involved in extracurricular activity, that you are automatically put into our random drug testing program. It's once a month. Mr. Freeman, one of the assistant principals, runs this. The athletic department has nothing to do with this unless one of our kids gets tested and fails the test, and then you'll be able to read the code of conduct and know what the procedures are there. If you were one of those cases, we would reach out. We would have a meeting and go over all of that. Concussion acknowledgement and information. This is again part of that. There's an inherent risk of concussion, sudden cardiac arrest with any physical activity. Our coaches have to do courses every 2 years. One's on concussion in sports, one's on heat illness prevention, and the other one's on sudden cardiac arrest. All of our paid coaches are also certified in AEDs and CPR. Then these are the participation forms. Once we complete the Family ID, you bring in your physical packet. We give you what's called a white card. It's a note card that we give you that you will give to your coach. So if you're trying out for multiple sports and you have 3 programs or 2 programs that are doing workouts this summer, you would need one for each coach. You give it to them. That lets the coach know that have completed everything and are approved to start workouts. If you go to the first workout and you don't have a white card, the coach will send you home until you come back with a white card. Participation fees. I'm just going to open this up. So there's an athletic department fee of $60. This is per sport. So if you're a one sport athlete, when you hit that sport, there will be a $60 fee. It's all through Skyward. Over the past 2 years, we've hosted a golf outing, which has allowed us to cover $30 of this. So there's half goes to transportation, and the other $30 is split between the weight room and training room. So all the tape and supplies that our trainers, Chris Hall and Taylor Shoemake, need are there. And in the weight room, Coach Tom Halterman is our strength and conditioning coach. It helps us replace weights, dumbbells, replace power racks, and all of those needs. Lake Central School Corporation fee has a one-time $100 fee. So if you're a one sport athlete, it's $100. If you're 2 or 3 sport, you'll pay this fee with your first sport that you play here. That is also on Skyward. It'll show up in your Skyward account. Again, this is about our golf outing. Right now it's scheduled for September 19th. Depending on COVID and how long this lasts, we may postpone or cancel this for this year, just because we don't want to task our community with more baskets and more fundraising, especially with a lot of our local businesses having to be shut down or partially shut down during this time. So depending when the economy opens back up, this may occur. If I had to say today, right now, we would probably postpone or cancel this for this year, just because of where the economic that we're dealing with. Eligibility. To be eligible, obviously, you've heard a lot about family ID. Maintaining no code of conduct violations. This, again, if you're a freshman, you're trying out for a cut sport, they will be, I mean, our coaches will know who you are, and when it comes to it, they look up what type of kid are you. Remain in good academic standing. A full-time student, so as a freshman, you have what's called the clean slate. So whatever happened in middle school doesn't matter. So you all will be eligible as an incoming freshman in the fall, academically. From there, you have to pass 5 credits each 9 weeks. So credits are done every 9 weeks or the semester. So at the end of the first 9 weeks, we run an eligibility report and we determine who's eligible at that time. Then at the semester, at the end of the semester, we take the semester grade, not the second 9 weeks grade. So you'll be able to see that. Like I said, you have the clean slate. I've covered that. Attendance, in order to participate in a workout, practice, or participate in a competition on a 4-period day. So on a 5-day week, on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, blue and white days, you would have to be here by the end of first hour, 8:44, 8:47, to be eligible. On a 7-period day, so on our traditional Wednesdays, you need to be here by the end of second hour. That gives you an hour and a half to be late to school each day. If you have a doctor's appointment or a bereavement, communicate with the coach. When you come in and put a doctor's note, they code it in Skyward for us. So we'll know when we run the report at the end of the day if you had a doctor's appointment. So we'll know that ahead of time. But also communicate with your coach. So again, funerals, court appearances, college visits, bereavements, and doctor notes. If you just can't call and say, I wasn't feeling well. We understand that, but if you don't have a doctor's note, you won't be able to participate. And then the last one is that all athletic participation fees are paid and up to date. Now, parent, coach, and communication. Start with the coach. If you contact me, I will tell you to go to the coach. Again, we run 23 programs here. We have on average about 700, a little over 700 student athletes every year. We're not at every practice. We're not even at every contest. We're at every one we can be. But so make sure that you start with the coach. After a contest is not the time to approach a coach. And it should say 48 hours. So after contest, right after practice is not the time to contact coach. Wait 24 hours, even 48 hours. Let that emotion settle, and then with a clear head, then you communicate with them. If you contact, I've been a part of way too many conflicts with coaches and parents that are right after game. It never goes well. Usually it's because if the contest didn't go well, the coach may not be in the right frame of mind to have that conversation. If you're upset and elevated, you're not in the right frame of mind. If you address a coach right after a contest, you will be subject to a suspension as a parent. It's not the time to communicate and have those conversations. If you're not satisfied with after you have that conversation with the coach, then you set an appointment with me. It will be a conversation with me, the coach, as well as your student athlete in the meeting. Now, if you need to communicate about values or something that is across the realms of that you need to feel like you need to contact me, I will always hear you out. Even if I end up sending you back to the coach, I'll always listen, and I will always sit. And then we'll go from there and communicate. If you have any questions about practice times and locations, event link and you'll see this on the other side. Every practice, every contest is an event link. If it's canceled or changed, those changes will be made. But if you have a question, contact the coaching staff. And then again, if you have any additional concerns or questions, always contact us. We're here to help. Practice games and schedules, like I said, are on EventLink. Hopefully most of you have it from the middle school, but this is a great thing to get a part of. You can pick whatever sports your kid's a part of and have all those schedules. The summer schedules are there. We don't always get all the changes in summer schedules, but we will get all the other stuff done. And in our website. All right. We're always trying to be a model for other athletic teams and programs to copy. We're the largest school in Northwest Indiana. We're trying to do everything. We want people to be like us. We're not trying to be like anybody else. We're trying to be Lake Central. We want people to strive to see us as that flagship school. Sportsmanship is key. We are graded every year on sportsmanship by the IHSA based on official reports. If a kid gets a red card in soccer, it hits us. If anybody's ejected, we get it. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are all goes into this variation. If we get so many dings and our score drops below a certain threshold, we're put on probation. It can require us to have a in-person meeting in Illinois with, it'd be me, the superintendent, the principal, as well as the board of IHSA commissioners and assistant commissioners to go over a plan of development of how we're going to improve our sportsmanship score. So we track this pretty closely. And always keep things in perspective. While we know I have 4 kids, all of them are heavily active in sports. Our kid may not get the playing time or be in the position that we feel like that's best for them. But that's not for us to question. It's to give them a complete package and an experience here at the school. Several of our kids will go on to participate in sports in the college, at the collegiate level. And we have a handful that end up, making it to the pros, but you gotta understand that's less than 1% of student athletes that do so. Positive communication. If you have something negative to say, just keep it to yourself, keep it to your family, and always be mindful that there's always ears and people watching. Register for EventLink and Family ID accounts. Follow the athletic department and teams. This is the athletic department website or Twitter account. And then if you should have received an email of a Google form to complete. All of my coaches have access to that. That way they can communicate with you. So when we are able to get back to work in the summer, hopefully this summer, that we'll be able to, they'll be able to contact you with workouts. One thing that I didn't have on here that I probably should have, transportation is provided to and from all athletic events. Unless there is an emergency, your child will be expected to ride the bus to and from all athletic events with the team. We will have a form this year that I've created to be approved. It must be done. It will be posted on our website. It has to be done 48 hours ahead of time. You fill it out. The coach will sign it. Your child should give it to the coach. The coach will sign it. And then it comes to the athletic department for us to review and give the final approval. We'll make a copy if it is approved and send it back and with your child to give to the coach. But again, that's 48 hours in advance. We get a lot of requests for kids to get a ride back because I can get them home quicker. Those aren't vital. Those won't be approved. Part of the reason that it's good for after events for kids to ride back with is that time to decompress. As a team, parents may be upset about something that happened. We don't have to be backseat coaches. I'm guilty of it. If my kid gets in a car after events, it's hard not to say some things. But our coaching staff, when they get back, will communicate with the kids and have things to go there. Questions? I'll go through there. So is there any plan to add lacrosse? Only sports that are governed by the IHSA are added onto our tally of events. If the IHSA were to add lacrosse, then we would add it as an official sport. And much like hockey, we get a lot of requests for hockey. They are considered a club at Lake Central, not a sport, because they're not affiliated with the IHSA. The only two sports that are not governed by the IHSA that are under our purview is the Centralettes or dance program, as well as the cheerleading. And a lot of that has to do with Title IX because of numbers. Should the Google form have the parents' contact info or the students? There's two places to put an email. I would put your email as well as student email if you want. You don't need to redo it if you've done it. The student's name and whatever phone number you feel comfortable giving. If you want your kids down and the coach to call your kid, that's fine. If you would rather them, if they put it in text or if they put it into their Remind 101 app and you get a message that way. If you'd rather be yours, that would be great. So whichever one you're more comfortable with there. Is there any other questions? If you want to unmute your mic and have anything to say, or if you have any questions, you can do so now. All right. So one, I hope everybody's staying safe and well during this time. I will address COVID-19 and how that's impacted us. Most of you are aware, spring sports did not occur this year, which is devastating to a lot of our kids. We had a baseball team that was ranked number 2 in the state in the preseason. We had a softball team ranked in the top 10 in the state. We had state returners from the state meet, even the state runner-up from last year for track. Our golf team was young last year and was looking to make strides this year. They made it to regionals last year. So it's a very rough time. We are still working. So if you have any questions, you don't want to put in chat or ask now, you can do it. We don't know when the school's going to open back up right now. We hope it's June 1 that we can get things going again. There's been talk of a July 1 day with the IHSA moratorium week going away and then all teams coming back in July. You hear some rumblings of, well, we'll follow the professional leagues and we'll have fall programs, but we won't have any fans. Well, how can we say it's not to have fans, but it's okay for football to have 11v11 in physical contact, or soccer 11v11, with those sports? So we will notify you when things open up and we get this clear direction from the state, from the IHSA. I will send out all of this through the IHSA or through the school messenger. Yes, you'll be notified when we can go on to Family ID. I'll send that out through school messenger. Again, I'm not opening that in until I know doctors' offices are able to start doing physicals. There's no need to start doing the Family ID without the physicals. If we stretch into July, I'll probably open it up so you can complete the Family ID portion while you await the physical. But right now, we're just gonna hold off and wait until we get a little clearer picture of when we're going to return. Again, we don't know. My coaches, we have coaching meetings every week, and they ask the same thing, and I don't have any clear directions. As far as there's been questions of virtual tryouts. How do you get a clear picture of where people are without it? Your doctor agreed. I wouldn't open. I would not go to your doctor yet. I haven't opened it. Maybe I'll open it May 1 for all of you that have a doctor that will agree to give you a physical for that. But you won't have access to Family ID or the new physical until May 1 is when at the earliest is when I'll post it. So again, I'm hoping that at the end of this month, we'll have another direction. But we've been saying in 2 weeks we'll have a better idea, and we've been saying it for 2 months now. So we just don't know what it means, and I wish I had a better answer. You can find the physical form if you type in the IHSA pre-participation physical, you can find it, but I would hold off to make sure you're not doing last year's form and that you're actually doing the new updated one. And Jeff, on Wednesday, if you want to put the new physical form on the website, we'll put it on the athletic department website there for you to go print off there. But Family ID isn't open yet. I haven't worked through it all, but I will have it open in May if we know a return date, and maybe even if we don't. So, any other questions on anybody wants to ask or type up before I end it? I said, if you don't, feel free to email me and ask your questions there. So, stay safe, take care, and have a great evening.